Hello to the YouTube people. What's going on, my friends? I'm gonna start the Audacity in 3, 2, 1. Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to Lady Qi'ra's Galactic Adventure, where we traverse the universe in our Corellian Corvette Cruiser, the Vindicator. I am, of course, your host on this excursion, Admiral Qi'ra Vondari of the Alliance to Restore the Republic. Sadly, we will not be joined by our resident Jedi Padawan / part-time tour guide Aresi now for the next few weeks, as she's off on a mission on Kashyyyk with her master. This time, we are continuing our exploration of the interior as we travel to the planet Skako. If you have no questions, comments, or concerns, then make sure to state that there is no echo, for your name is Echo. Adopt a little girl with a horrendously strong Australian accent, and always tell Captain Rex, yes sir, and that his cheekbones are poppin'. This week on Lady Qi'ra's Galactic Adventure. In canon, we don't have a lot of information on the system Skako is located in, so we're getting right into this, okay? So Skako is located in the core world at L9 in the Galactic grid along the Hydian Way, a super hyper route that I went into detail on in the Coruscant episode, along with many others, so you should definitely go check that out, but only after you listen to this one, of course, because Skako most definitely does not have a Type 1 atmosphere, and would be more like a 3 or 4 since the atmosphere itself is high pressure and based in methane gas. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, go check out the last episode on Corellag, where I explain the 4 different types of atmospheres, which are breathable, breath mask optional, breath mask required, and environment suit required. Due to Skako's high pressure methane atmospheres, off-worlders were uncomfortable at best, but there are cases of more severe circumstances, with even non-native methane breathers finding the pressure of the atmosphere unpleasant. I know what you must be thinking, that with all this talk of off-worlders, is there a native species to Skako? The answer is yes. Skakoans were a sentient species native to the planet who, in order to survive off-world, were required to wear pressure suits to stimulate the unique atmospheric pressure of their homeworld, which was vastly different from the galactic standard. Skakoans were a bipedal sentient species who generally had a thin build and pale skin that could be green, blue, or purple. The species possessed little facial or body hair, and their faces consisted of a toothless mouth, 2 red eyes, and a pair of nasal slits. The crown of the Skakoan head consisted of raised ridges around the sides, with a wide depression in the center. Me too. They were physiologically very similar to humans, but the key difference between Skakoans and most other species was the fact that they could sustain their metabolism with atmospheric methane at proper pressure. These conditions could be found on their homeworld Skako, but in other environments, as I mentioned before, they generally needed to wear the full pressure suit to provide methane at the correct pressure for them to survive. Due to the pressure requirements, rebreathers were simply not enough to sustain them. Without the suit, members of the species would explode in a standard oxygen-based environment. As well as methane, Skakoans breathe hydrogen sulfide and can consume liquid foodstuffs. If you want an example of a Skakoan and you happen to have watched Clone Wars, you've already met one and been on this planet before. In Season 7 of Clone Wars, Episodes 1 through 4, we follow Captain Rex and Clone Force 99 in search for ARC Trooper Echo. Their investigation leads them to Skako, where Wat Temple, leader of the Techno Union, tracks them down. Wat Temple is a Skakoan, however, we see him in Season 7 on his home planet, so it doesn't really make any sense why he's wearing his environment suit there, but I digress. More on the Techno Union later. Skakoan society was dominated by logic and mathematics, which added to outsiders' mistaken perception that Skakoans were a robotic species, mostly due to their pressure suits and translator units. In fact, Skakoans were highly emotional and passionate beings, seeing no contradiction between emotion and logic. Due to cultural differences between Skakoans and other cultures, their society was heavily based in isolation and xenophobia. They saw the rest of the galaxy as hostile and dangerous, but did admit that this fear of the outside was partially irrational. It is important to note that they were unconcerned with what empire or government controlled the galaxy as long as it left them alone. Because of the logistical difficulties of living on Skako, Skakoans viewed technology as a necessity that was essential the evolution of nature, rather than invasive as many other species did. In their opinion, with the abundance of methane fuel and metallic resources on Skako, machines and industry were the natural and inevitable end result of their developed intelligence. Now, for some more abstract stuff. The leaders of the Power Mounds, more on that later, were a group that controlled the mystery religion practiced in Skakoan society, which was based on a belief in an alternate dimension inhabited by a mythical creature that the elders could supposedly visit. Rising within the ranks of the religion granted access to holy sites and mystic artifacts, although only the elders and a select few others knew if the creature and its dimension truly exists. However, with the existence of a world between worlds, this doesn't seem so far-fetched anymore. Skakoans spoke a complex native language known as Skakovable that shared similarities with binary. Binary is the language that droids speak. Due to the fact that they rarely traveled off-world, few Skakoans even learned Galactic Basic Standard, with those that did travel more frequently, relying on language transition modules that could be attached to their pressure suits like the ones Ithorians use. The written element of Skakovable was known as Skakoform, and by the time of the Galactic Civil War, the symbol set it used greatly resembled circuitry. That seems to paint a clear enough picture of what we're dealing with, so let's get back to the planet itself. Skako is a mineral-rich planet, and because of this, over time, it was transformed into an ecumenopolis, or a city planet. Other examples of city planets are Coruscant, Hosnian Prime, and Empress Teta, just to name a few. Due to the xenophobia and isolationist policies, as I mentioned before, Skako was not a member of the Galactic Republic until Wat Tambor became the de facto representative of the world and its people in the Senate. During the Clone Wars, the world, quote, indirectly supported the Confederacy of Independent Systems, aka the Separatist Alliance, due to Tambor's allegiance with them. As a consequence, following the end of the war, the Galactic Empire placed immigration restrictions on Skako and caused its people to suffer greatly, although many Skakoans were just happy to remain isolated from the rest of the galaxy. And that is everything I have for you on Skako in canon, so let's skitter on over to Legends. In Legends, Skako is located in the Skako system, which we have no information about other than the fact that Skako's in it, and it has 2 moons. Named Darrell. I will not elaborate on the inside joke. Skako has a rotation period of 27 standard hours and an orbital period of 384 local days this time. The planet itself is terrestrial, with a Type 4 environment suit required atmosphere, a temperate high-pressure climate, and standard gravity. The Skakoans rarely left the world due to their dependence on the methane-based atmosphere and heavy atmospheric pressures. Establishing a major ecumenopolis comparable in terms of population and scale to Coruscant, the planet-wide city lacked the capital's charm and aesthetics. But let's be honest, Coruscant, at least the upper levels, is really hard to beat. In addition to the Skakoan people, the planet was also home to Octuparas, an 8-eyed creature with a gas bag-shaped head and multiple legs. The harsh environment on the planet ensured that the world was rarely visited and left in isolation, much to the contentment of the natives. Developing a religion based on the Book of Bulmaid, the Skakoan people constructed a holy place called the Power Mounds, from where the elders presided over the world's religious affairs, as we mentioned before. Skako was discovered during the blazing of the Brentol-Denon route of the Hydean Way before the formation of the Galactic Republic. While Skakoans tended to stay out of galactic affairs, war was on their doorstep during the Second Alsokan conflict, which lasted from 16,200 BBY until 15,400 BBY, which we covered in the Alsokan episode, which melted my brain. Attaining membership in the Galactic Republic Senate, the Skakoans also had a leading interest within the Techno Union by the time of the Separatist crisis. The Skakoan representative, Wat Tambor, led the Techno Union away from the Republic and to the Confederacy of Independent Systems, leading to Skako being expelled from the Republic. When the Clone Wars erupted, Skako was a member of the Separatist Alliance, but was placed under the watchful eye of the 1st Sector Army of the Grand Army of the Republic. After Skako fell to the Republic and foreman Tambor was murdered on Mustafar, With the rest of the Separatist Council, the Confederacy collapsed and the Galactic Empire replaced the Republic, but we already knew that. Heralding a new era of human high culture, the Empire crushed the Techno Union and persecuted the Skakoans for their involvement in the war. Retreating to Skako to resume their isolationist stance, the Skakoans avoided the destruction of the Yuzon-Vong War by remaining distant from both the New Republic and the Galactic Alliance. I have mentioned at least 20 times that I don't have the mental capacity right now to handle the Yuzon-Vong, but I will acknowledge its existence. Since we are pretty much done, let's do a bit of an exploration into the Techno Union, because why not? In canon, the Techno Union was a commerce guild composed of various technology firms in the galaxy. Over 3 centuries before the end of the Clone Wars, the Techno Union came to own the lava planet of Mustafar and charged the native Mustafarians rent, to which they paid by forced mining of mineral allotropes for the Union, a task they performed using tools and technologies supplied by them. By the late Republic era, Skakoan industrialists had, through aggressive investment and shrewd maneuvering, largely assumed control of the conglomerate. They held many high positions and even relocated the headquarters to Skako Minor, forcing outsiders to adapt to their environmental needs. The Techno Union was one of several corporate titans that quietly aligned itself with Count Dooku alongside the Trade Federation. The Geonosians, the Banking Clan, the Commerce Guild, the Corporate Alliance, the Hyper Communications Cartel, whose leaders made up the Separatist Council, all of whom were killed by Vader on Mustafar. Despite its actions on Geonosis, the Techno Union claimed neutrality in the Clone Wars and retained their representation in the Galactic Senate, but in reality, alongside the intergalactic Bacon Clan Senator Nix Card and Trade Federation Representative Lot Dodd, they were there to keep an eye on things for Count Dooku, and to make sure his master's plans did not go unhinged. After the fall of the Republic and the death of Wat Tambor on Mustafar, the Empire reallocated all of the Techno Union's holdings to the Mining Guild. And on that note, we're done here. And that is everything I have for you on Skako in both canon and legends. I hope you enjoyed your journey this week and your stay so far aboard the Vindicator. If you have any questions or concerns about your stay, feel free to bring it up with one of our personnel on board via a private message or a DM, perhaps on our TikTok accounts at Shadow Collective Rules or at Unidentified Robot, or maybe our Instagram at Lady Qi'ra, or perhaps in the review of our show, or perhaps our Patreon, which is brand new, patreon.com/Lady Qi'ra Productions. All of those usernames and their respective platforms will be listed in the show notes. Next time, we will be journeying to Ixtalar, and whatever cool worlds I can cover in 30 minutes or less. Until next time, my friends, companions, and droids, may the Force be with you all.